Rock Talk Studio, your source for rock and roll books and documentaries you don't want to miss. And this is a bonus episode where I get you all caught up on what is new and what has just been announced as coming out in the world of rock and roll books and docs. Today's show features projects from REM, Christine McVie, Joni Mitchell, the J.Geils Band, Elton John, and a book from one of Tom Petty's Heartbreakers, to name a few. I'm your host, Big Rick. Join me for an exclusive look into what's hitting the shelves and the screens, and get ready to rock your reading and viewing list. All right, let's begin. I'm really looking forward to a bunch of these titles. We're going to begin in the book aisle, and there's 4 selections that have just been announced that I want to tell you about. And I'm going to start with Mike Campbell. Mike Campbell is going to release a memoir. Of course, Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. His book is coming out March 18th. The memoir is titled Heartbreaker, and it's Campbell's chance to tell his side of the story. I know he had a real humble upbringing. His mom raised him, and she really struggled financially. It'll be interesting to hear Mike's side of the story, especially since there's a lot of great Tom Petty books out there. Warren Zane's biography in 2016 was just fantastic. I just reviewed a great book that came out this year, Conversations with Tom Petty by Paul Zollo. Absolute treasure of a book. That's episode 39 if you want to dig back into the archives to listen to that. I love that book. So now we get a chance to hear from Mike, March 18th, new memoir, Heartbreaker. This next band hasn't been written about at all or very much. I haven't found anything. I'm a huge fan of this band, so it's really cool to see there's something coming out. It's a real shame that there hasn't been something like biography or anything just documenting this band. That's the J.Geils Band. And it's nice to see this new book, On Track, the J.Geils Band. This is a book that goes through every album and every song. And the author, James Romack, has really done his homework. There are a lot of great sources used, and the book does a good job of exploring the stories and recording information about the songs and the album. It also covers the solo works of band members and their time with the J.Geils Band. It's just nice to have something from and about the J.Geils Band. Next year, though, is the big one. Peter Wolf's memoir, the lead singer of the J.Geils Band, his memoir is coming out. It's called Waiting on the Moon, Artists, Poets, Drifters, Grifters, and Goddesses. That comes out March 11th. I just got my advanced copy, and I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm a huge J.Geils fan. My brother and I grew up seeing so many shows, and they were such a great live band. So I'm really excited to finally read the memoir of Peter Wolf coming out March 11th. Another band I'm looking forward to reading about, and I haven't really read a lot or seen anything from them in a while, and I really think their story needs to be told and detailed, and that is REM. There's a new biography, and it's called The Name of This Band is REM. It just came out, so you can pick it up. I'm waiting on my copy to arrive this week, and I will definitely be reviewing it in an upcoming episode. The book is getting a ton of great press. It was written by Peter Ames Carlin, who is a cultural writer and journalist, and he has written several books in the music world, including Sonic Boom, The Impossible Rise of Warner Brothers Records. He wrote a book about Paul McCartney, Paul Simon, Bruce Springsteen. So I think we're in good hands with this one here. New biography about REM. The name of this band is REM. And again, it's out now. Bangles book, new Bangles book coming. Eternal Flame, the authorized biography of the Bangles, February 18th. It's coming out next year. 3 founding members participated in the book, Debbie Peterson, Vicky Peterson, and Susanna Hoffs. This Debbie Peterson quote about the book kind of sums it up. I think it's about time that our true story was told. People only see certain aspects of the Bangles, especially as the media has twisted the past and we have been misrepresented for a long time. Plus, certainly in the 80s, we were women making it in a man's world. I think that needs to be celebrated. I totally agree. This sounds like a really good read, and it'll be interesting to hear them tell their story. This one again comes out in February 18th. All right, let's take a look at one more book, and then I'm going to turn you on to some cool docs that were announced and that have come out this month. Christine Perfect, or better known as Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac, has a new book that just came out on the 19th of this month. It's called Songbird. It's an intimate biography of Christine McVie. 352 pages. And the interesting part in this is it was written by Leslie Ann Jones, and she was a friend of McVie's. Too bad it's not a memoir, but it sounds like it might be a personal tale with McVie's friend writing it. Fleetwood Mac fans, this one sounds good. This new book is out now. It came out on the 19th. Christine McVie, Songbird, an intimate biography of Christine McVie. Okay, news on 4 new rock docs coming up after the break. Okay, before we jump into the documentaries this month, let me tell you about a couple books I'm giving away. I'm really excited about this, a chance to give the listeners a free book. First one is Rush at 50. This is a great coffee table style book with really lavish photographs. It goes through 50 milestone moments in Rush's career. All you have to do to get into the running of this contest is email me at info@rocktalkstudio.com. That will get you into the drawing for this new Rush book, Rush at 50. The second book is a top 5 book in my rankings for books in 2024, and that is Robyn Hitchcock's memoir, 1967, How I Got There and Why I Never Left. A fantastic memoir, a beautiful book, a very unique book, a very different book, one I highly recommend, and I get a chance to give it away. How cool is that? Again, all you have to do to enter is send me over an email. You can tell me which book that you're interested in. That'll help me get the book to the right person. Again, info@rocktalkstudio.com. And one really cool thing about the Rush book, coming up next week, I'm going to review the Rush book, Rush at 50, in the episode, and I'm also going to draw the winner for the book in the podcast. So tune in next week. If you're into the Rush book, drop me an email and then find out if you are the winner next week in the podcast that goes and puts the Rush at 50 as the spotlight title. Going to start this segment off with talking about Martin Scorsese. Scorsese has produced a bunch of rock docs. You've got the Rolling Stone Shines a Light, George Harrison's Living in the Material World, 2 Bob Dylan docs, The Rolling Thunder Review and No Direction Home, and then one of the all-time greats, The Last Waltz in 1978. And he's at it again with a new doc that traces the Beatles coming to America. It's called Beatles 64, and that comes out this week. The new Beatles documentary, Beatles 64. Really cool thing about that is both Ringo and Paul have done updated interviews for this. I saw the trailer the other day. I'm sold. I can't wait to check this out. This Friday, Beatles 64. There's also another new doc that just came out featuring someone who played with the Beatles. He's also played on 250 records over 30 years, and that is Nicky Hopkins. The doc is called The Session Man. It's out now. Probably the doc I'm most interested in seeing. There's just something about this doc that looks really good. 90 minutes documentary about one of the greatest session players of all time. The doc is loaded with guest stars sharing about Hopkins, Albert Lee, Ben Montench, Billy Wyman, Chuck Leavell, Dave Davies, Glenn Johns, Graham Parker, Jim Keltner, Keith and Mick are in there, Niels Lofgren, Pete Townsend. I mean, the list goes on and on. I will be watching it this week, and I'll definitely be doing an episode on it coming up in December. Another producer of rock and roll material, Cameron Crowe, who just worked with the Tom Petty estate on Tom Petty's Beach Party, the reissue of the 1970 film they did together. That was actually Cameron Crowe's first film. Unfortunately, still no streaming date on that, but I'll keep you updated. Cameron Crowe is currently working on a new biopic of Joni Mitchell, and that is scheduled for next year. The only casting news so far, and it's a pretty big one, they've got Meryl Streep, who was a self-confessed big fan of Joni, set to play the older Joni Mitchell. A Joni Mitchell book that came out this year, I have to mention this, that I really loved. You can check out episode 37 in the archives. This is my review of Traveling on the Path of Joni Mitchell. It's written by the famous rock critic Ann Powers. She takes a personal path to tell this story. I found myself really engaged throughout. It's not a Joni Mitchell biography. It's more of a look at Mitchell's career and presented with a kind of myriad of avenues Joni Mitchell and author Ann Powers took throughout their lives. This is a really cool book. I strongly encourage you to check it out. And then the new Joni biopic will be coming up next year. I want to leave you with one more, and this is a little bit different because I stumbled on this doc the other day, and I know a lot of vinyl fans listen to this show. This doc is called Other Music, and it's about the Other Music record store in New York City. It's an incredible piece about a record store who caters to customers from around the world who are dedicated to finding out about new music. All kinds of different music are in this documentary. The owners and customers are obsessed with vinyl. I thought it was a really cool documentary, a cool little slice of New York City. I love New York City. I love going into the record stores there. Other Music is a great record store. Cool little doc that's out right now that I want to draw your attention to called Other Music. All right, before I wrap up the show today, I do want to tell you that coming up in a couple of weeks, right before the Christmas break here, I'm going to be doing the second annual Rock Talk Studio Award Show. This is where I reward my top rock and roll books and documentaries for the year. Last year was a great show, and I really loved giving away some kind of unique awards for the books and docs over the year. So that's coming up, something to look forward to. So there'll be 2 more shows, and then the award show, and then I'm going to take a little break at the end of the year and then get back to it at the beginning of the year. But look for the second annual Rock Talk Studio Awards. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll and talking about new rock and roll books and docs that are coming out. Remember, next week's show is all about Rush at 50, that new book. I'm going to do a review on it, and then I'm going to give the book away on the show, so tune in for that. You still have a chance to win. Just email me at info@rocktalkstudio.com. All right, tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. We'll see you next time in the Rock Talk Studio.